Good morning. It's Saturday, June 13th, 2026. My name is Terry Morgan, and we are here to practice Wudang Qigong. The session this morning is focused on teaching Wudang Qigong. In yesterday's session, I talked a little bit about the whole notion of showing up and I'm here and I've made a decision and all this. I had some personal things that I've been working through, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it tomorrow in philosophy class. Part of it is connected with practice, in that as we are practicing, there are times when we may be upset, angry, happy, sad. When we're experiencing a strong emotion, it is not a good time to practice. It doesn't matter what direction that emotion is going, happy, sad, distressed. It doesn't matter. The excess is what we want to avoid. That principle is why I'm here late today. It is. I have some things that have caused me to be extremely sad. And as I have been working through that, one of the issues for me is practice. If I'm upset, it really is not a good time for me to practice. What happens is that as I bring up my internal energy, as I bring up that qi, all of the sadness takes over. And it becomes stronger. That's why we don't want to practice when we're sad, angry, because our practice strengthens what we're doing inside. That is also why we look for that balance. We look for the principle of quieting the mind, quieting the body, quieting the heart, so that we don't have that excess, that we're able to work on a more even and regular pattern. As we cultivate that pattern, as we cultivate that quiet, we want to develop the ability to use it. I get upset if I can sit down, regulate my breath. I can begin to quiet my mind. I can begin to restore a peaceful balance within myself. Yeah, maybe I'm still a little upset, but it's not extremely upset. Maybe some of what I've been thinking about has been, I'm not going to say resolved, but that awareness of what it is has been created so that it's not upsetting me anymore. What is this? Why is this? All I can do is feel. I can't think. I have to calm down. Regulate the breath. Calm down. Now, what is that feeling? Why do I have it? Once I start that process, once I start that rational process, I've moved out of feeling, intuition, impulse, and into a rational way, step 1, step 2, step 3, of considering what it is that I'm going through. Both of those are important. They are. It's, for lack of a better way to say it, it's part of being human. We have both. If we don't recognize that, how can we develop it? How can we work with it? We can't. That is part of the teaching aspect of what we're doing. If the student does not understand, somehow, somewhere, the student has to be taught. Learning it on your own is possible, but it's harder. And so at some point, you need to, the teacher, this is the teaching session, the teacher has to look at the student, understand enough about what is going on. It shows what's going on in the movement. I'm going to show this in a minute. It shows. The student is going to show whatever it is they show. The teacher has to be able to see it. That student's very enthusiastic today. This student seems to be having some trouble today. What's going on over here? This is unusual for this person. Being able to give an instruction to go with requires some level of insight to what is going on. And developing that insight is how we develop ourselves. Now, I have personally a very strong sense of intuition, of my impulse. What's my intuition tell me? What's my instinct tell me? What is it that it seems to be, I need to, if I'm out walking someplace, I'm trying to find my way. Which way do I go? What's my instinct tell me? Don't go this way, go that way. That is very strong. I also have a very strong sense of sequential learning. I spent years working on systems manuals and instructional manuals. Step 1, step 2, step 3. We do this, do this, do this. Why do I want to do this? Because this is what the result is going to be. Why do I want to do that? Because this is what you're going to get. This is the process. This is what we go through. Here's how we get from A to B. Here's why we're doing these steps. And here's where you make decisions in how you're going through these steps. It's fundamentally how we learn. We start somewhere, we receive information in a manner that we can take it in. That's important. And then we're able to process that information. We have skills, we have abilities that give us a way to process that information so that we can do something with it. That step by step is what we want to cultivate in class. It's how we learn. I've talked about this previously, and I'll talk about it a little bit right now with this idea that if I give all of the instructions for any of the exercises all at once, no one will ever learn them. It's not possible. What level should I give? This is a beginner. Oh, right over here. This is beginner. Feet about shoulder width apart. Stand straight. Your shoulders should be down and relaxed, not up here, right? Don't pull your shoulders up. Just open through the neck. Pull your head up gently. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, bend the knees just a little bit. Relax your breathing. So breathe in, breathe out, just relax. Okay, that's the instruction for beginner level. A little more advanced. Feet about shoulder width apart. Pay attention to the crown of the head, the bai hui. Pull up through the spine. Pay attention to the huiyin. Pull up through the huiyin into the lower abdomen. Pull the lower abdomen tight across the front. Focus on the lower dantian. Pay attention to the yongchuan in the ball of the foot. Grip the floor slightly. Settle into the heels. Make sure the knees are bent just a little bit. Open the Mingmen. A little more advanced student. All right. Beginner student, I start saying open this, open that. Just what is the Mingmen? What's she talking about? What's that? Right? Beginner student hasn't learned that yet. They can't do that yet not because they don't want to. They haven't learned it yet. And my giving that whole litany to a beginner, it's only going to create confusion. Advanced student, stand straight, prepare. I expect the advanced student to know the litany and a whole bunch more things. Notice that I said the word prepare, and I was immediately in a slightly different position than I had been. My facial expression changed just a little bit. My body language changed just a little bit. Prepare. That was it. At the beginning level, keeping the instruction simple so that the student can gain confidence is what we want. Being able to do the movement, understanding the basics for the form, whatever that form happens to be. Today it is Ao Fei Gong, settling and lowering. I'll connect that in a minute. In a more advanced student, not this intermediate level, reminding the student of what they should be connecting, what should be paid attention to, is extremely important, because that reinforces what the student has learned. The beginning student hasn't learned it yet. The intermediate student is learning these things, has an understanding of what they're doing and what they should be doing. Reminding them of it is important. That internalizes, it helps the student internalize what they should be paying attention to. At the advanced level, asking the student to know and instantly be able to do what they're being asked to do is what the student should be able to do. It's not a question anymore. It shouldn't be a question anymore, not at the advanced level. So, which student am I teaching? Which level should I pay attention to? Right? In this set, this is similar to what we did in Wild Goose Flying. Wild Goose Flying. The Aufhebung, settling and lowering. In Wild Goose Flying, as I bring my arms up along both sides and settle down to my knees, raise the arms, my focus is on rising and settling just a little bit as I settle down here. That rising motion is where we put the emphasis for set 3. In set 4, we want to put the emphasis on lower. I'm also on the 45 here. So as I settle, don't lean. I lean, don't lean. I need to set back so that I can lower through the legs, not over the legs, okay? This rising motion, same idea, right here. Lowering here. My hip has to set behind my heel. This heel is up. I have weight on this leg, but the heel is up. As I settle down, I want to keep my weight well placed just behind the heel on the front leg, so that if I was going to go all the way down, I could. It does go that far. I'm not doing that today, but as we work through the set, I will work a little bit lower, open that up a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. In the very first opening move, right? Both palms up along both sides, press down, sink. This move we use for pretty much everything. In all of the sets, we begin here. Feet about shoulder width apart, hands at your sides, shoulders down and relax, pull up through the crown of the head, pull in through the abs, pull up through the lower torso, pull in and up under the ribs, extend the legs, bend the knees just a little bit, not enough that you're going to see it, right? Just a little bit. Pull up more. That's the beginning. As we start the set, breathe in, palms up. Breathe out, press down. Bend the knees. Breathe in, pull up. Circulate the energy through the lower dantian, up the back and down the front. The small heavenly circle, set the large heavenly circle. Both of those are connected through the tiny heavenly circle in the lower dantian. So tiny, small, and the large. All of those connect together as we breathe in and breathe out. In this set, from here, I'm going to shift my weight onto my right. I talked about this yesterday. I'm going to talk about it again. Onto my right, turn the left toes to 45, both hands separate, and come up. Notice my wrist. Shift, come back to center, sink, shift, turn, up, lower, don't lean, and come back to center. That sequence, working through each set, is we want to, let me have it say it another way. We want to pay attention to the lowering aspect, settling here as I sink down, as I settle into my leg. That lowering, keeping the back straight. This is what I was talking about, not leaning. Keeping the back straight, paying attention to how we lower, not just get there. The same as with the rising, that we're using the breath, that connection, the movement and the breath, is what I mentioned yesterday as the most important thing for a beginning student to begin to understand and work with. That breath connection matters. I mentioned earlier the differences in the way that we do the movements. And I'm going to show this quickly. I'm going to turn, well, now I'm going to do it this way. Two things that I need to say. First, in working with the exercises that go from left to right, or that use both sides, we normally will start on the left, which means I set on the right and I go to the left. If I do that, you have to mirror me. That means you're starting on your right. That's not what you should do. You should start on your left. If we're doing that and I'm facing you, that can be very confusing because we're going in different directions. Now, so I'm going to turn around when we start so that left side is left, right side is right. As I'm showing this facing you, I'm just left side, right side still. But this way you can see what I'm doing from this angle, as well as after I turn around. In working with the movement, this is the second point, working with the movement, the way that I do the movements, there are, I breathe in here, breathe out, settle, open, sink, and return. I'm going to do the other side. Breathe in, breathe out. And come back to center. Second time, pay attention to the change. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And breathe in, and breathe out. And breathe in, and breathe out. First time, I was lethargic, not much energy. It didn't look good. It's kind of empty. Yeah, it was. I talked about this at the beginning. I said I'm going to talk about more in philosophy class. I've been very sad. And that was much closer to my feeling. Second one. I used my skills, Qigong, all of the things that I talked about. I used my skills to quiet my heart, quiet my mind, return to that stillness and balance that I have worked to cultivate for 40 years. I've been working on it for a long time. And to pay attention to my breathing, my inner breath, my external breath, my internal breath, to put a little bit of energy, Jane, in the movement. That's intentional. And to pay attention to good body alignment and working through the physical body to connect the discipline that I have in my physical body with what I have in my mind. So everything's working together. That is what we want to cultivate. That's the point. All right, we're going to do this set 4 times. I'm going to turn around, left side, right side. Pay attention to that connection through the whole body, connecting the breath with the movement, and pay particular attention to lowering, settling down. Keep the torso between the legs. Open the hips. Feet about shoulder width apart. Stand straight. Pull up through the crown of the head. Palms up. Breathe in. Palms turn over. Press down. Shift right. Open the left toes. Shift the weight onto the left. And settle. Pull up. Turn to center. Shift left. Open right. Settle. And come on. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Open the back. Stay centered. And again, open the back and stay centered. Center. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in one more time. Hands down along both sides. Breathe out. Pull up through the crown of the head. Raise the heels and lower. Stay there. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time, breathe in. And breathe out. We would normally work a set of 6. And in regular class, I've got lots and lots and lots of regular class recordings out there. In regular class, we would pay attention to that series, so that it would be 6 set of 6, 3 to 1 set. Breathe in, breathe out. Here we go. That's the set. This is 1. So both sides counts as 1. So we do a set of 6. That gives us a rhythm and an opportunity to work with the movement and the breath that we don't have if we just do 1. We don't develop the movement by just doing 1. So part of the lesson for today is repetition, and talk about that. Showing up for practice. I talked about that yesterday. I showed up today. Didn't feel like it. I was late. I had to work through some things. But I got here. That makes a difference. It really does. I'm now going to go do other things. And I'm going to remember that I was late, but I did. I went to class. I did it. I did that today. That gives me a sense of accomplishment that I would not have if I had said, well, I'm already too late. I'm just not going to do it today. Right? Both are possible. It could have been that I was really feeling that bad and I'm just, oh, no, I can't have it today. And I'd have to make that decision. Being able to make that decision is also part of what we want to cultivate. It comes from knowing what I'm going to do, knowing what I need to do, knowing what I can do. What can I do today? What I can do today might not be the same as what I can do tomorrow. What can I do? What can I do today? How does that help my practice? That I showed up gave me confidence. That I did something gave me more confidence. That is something I can use to build on. That is something that we want students to learn from the very beginning. How we develop our skills, how we develop our confidence in what we're doing comes from practice, comes from showing up. All right. I will be talking a little bit more about these concepts and how we address ourselves and all of the things that make us human, how we address our emotions, how we address our impulses, how we address the rational mind. It's all part of what I'm working with in the philosophy class tomorrow morning. This class, we focus on lowering and settling Qigong, and the idea that as we practice, we want to develop a sense of physical relaxation combined with energetic movement, combined with the breath, combined with a level of physical and mental and emotional quiet, so that we can pay attention to what we should be doing in the movement and turn down the noise. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.